Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Great Awakening Generator. I am Rose, and today I have with me my beloved friend and colleague, Craig Lyle, healer and medical intuitive is what I remember from the last time. Hello, Craig.
Yeah, hi, Rose. Nice to see you. We haven't chatted for quite some time, and life's been busy.
Life has been busy, and it's been a whole year, I think, since we
Yeah,
chatted like this. I know
yeah,
we've messaged each other, but not for a very long time. Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
And so how are you? How's everything going in your world?
Yeah, going really, really well at the moment. You wouldn't think so with all that's going on in the world, but I'm really just feeling just a really powerful vibration at the moment, like something's coming. It's just like I have a really good feeling at the moment. So, although we know there's still things to unfold, but I'm feeling really great at the moment. Yeah, yeah.
Really glad to hear that. That you're feeling like that and that something great is coming. And I think something great is coming. We're all, we've had all these different great things happen and then not so great things happen. But at the moment, the energy changed from January, from the beginning of the year, something shifted. And it feels like something great is happening and coming through for light workers, starseeds, and inadvertently, that means for the whole planet, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's a planetary shift, and it's an energetic thing rather than a war, whatever all these things that are going on, all these
Yes.
negative things that are going on. It's not
Yeah.
about the third dimensional stuff that's flying everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I agree that it is a dimensional thing.
Yeah,
And it is an intuitive thing, energetic thing, rather. You said energetic thing. I think it is an energetic thing as well. Really looking forward to that thing happening. I felt the shift the beginning of the year. And because, I think because 2023 was the way it was, when the shift happened at the beginning of the year, it was evident that something had moved because a lot of people had challenges in 2023 that they'd never had in their
yeah,
lives before. So yeah, no, I think you're right. I like the idea that something is coming, something big is coming.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's about time something big came to us light workers and star seeds.
Yeah, it's just really difficult for us because we expect these things, we see and feel these things often. And I'm blessed. One of my gifts that I have is prophecy, and I have had a number of prophecies, and a number of years ago, I got that 2024 was going to be a really tumultuous year,
Yes.
and it is. And that from 2025, there's going to be a shift. And for me, I know some people have a 2030 agenda. We also have a 2030 agenda, but it's not on the same book as theirs.
Yeah, we have a 2032 agenda. Thank you very much.
Yeah. For me, this 2024 is going to be, and I'm still getting that. Although I'm feeling buzzy and upbeat, and that
Yeah,
I know there's a lot to unfold here because I know what's coming beyond that. I
yeah,
think that
yeah,
2025 is going to be kind, and as I'm saying that, I'm getting goosebumps all on my arms and legs, and I know that spirit telling me that I'm correct.
yeah.
That 2025 there's going to be a change. There's still going to be a lot of difficulties, but there'll be almost more of us that will sense that something is coming, and something good is coming. So 2025, 26, I think are going to be the starting point of change in the right direction, if that makes sense.
That's right. That's good. It makes sense. And I think I also feel like it's um so much of this change that's happening and because everyone, we're all going through change. That's the common thing, but we're going through change at different points on that pathway or on that road. Or certain things are happening that are different compared to someone else who's going through the change. So we're all going through the transformation, but we're all at different points on the journey. So, Craig, what I would like you to please do is remind us about your work and what it is that you offer the collective, because I will put the link in the description box to that video we did last year, because that was quite a detailed video of what exactly you do. But remind us, because I know that your energy healing and the variety of things that you do is quite amazing. And I would just like our audience that did not watch that video before and hasn't seen you with me before to get to know what it is that you do.
Yeah, no, thanks, Rose. So I'm a Reiki master, so that's kind of energy healing, and Reiki, I think, is a general thing we understand as an energy healing. I'm a medical intuitive, and that I kind of intuitively can pick up medical things in people. Some of those can be serious, might be minor things. I'm a psychic medium, and that I do get people that have passed away that come to me sometimes. It's not something I deal with a lot, but I do have where sometimes you hear someone come through. And I had one this last week where someone came through. I said, "Did you?" The father figure came through, and it was a bit of a. I knew what profession they were in. I said, "Were they this profession?" Said, "Yes." And they're here with you, and part of what this person is going through, their difficulty they having, their father passed from something quite similar in a sense. So I'm a medium, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I do a lot of, but I have that. And then prophecy is something that comes to me, and that's why I'm feeling so optimistic, because I kind of know that things are coming, you know. And
Yes.
I work with people, animals, dogs, cats, horses, you know, and all over the world as well. I found that I can shift stuff. Doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
what I do.
So energy is like that. Working with energy is like that. You don't have to be in the same place. And to be able to move that energy, you can be anywhere in the world. And now that we have the blessings of live streaming, or not live streaming, but having online tools like Zoom and all these other, I think there is a platform called Livestream, and WebEx and things like that. We are able to do these things and work like that with anyone in the world. So thank the universe for that.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. And it's nice to know that you mentioned that you do healing with people all over the world. You don't just do it here in New Zealand, and people don't have to be in your presence to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So you started your healing with working with animals because you used to have horses and things like that, because you're originally from South Africa, like I am.
Yeah.
And you started the healing process. You started doing healing. But when you were doing that healing, it was not deemed Reiki. You just were doing it from that perspective because you were not in this space when you started your healing, right?
Well, when I started, I had done a Reiki course.
Okay. Okay.
So I did this course, and things kind of just opened up for me.
All
And
right.
of course, in our third dimensional mind, you go from being a normal bloke, you know, as you would say, and all the normal stuff, you know, and suddenly you realize, man, I'm seeing things in people that I can't possibly know. So I've always been open to that kind of thing. My mom is a medium, has always seen people that have passed away from a child and whatever. Of course, they didn't know how to deal with it, so they just told you you're crazy. So I know that
Yeah.
since it's genetically passed down from my mom to me. So I've always been aware of it and open to it. But to suddenly realize that I can pick up things in people was quite a shock for me, you know. So I
Yeah.
started to work with horses, because people, you don't want to be giving them the wrong information, you know. It's uh, it's something I take quite seriously. So I started working with horses because I was breeding with Native American Appaloosa horses back in South Africa. And I had
Right.
a lot of friends with horses. So I'd go to the stable yard, run my hands of horse, stop in a spot somewhere and say, "That's where it's hurt itself." People say, "How do you know that?" I said, "I just know, it's like a magnet, my hand stops." So the
Yeah.
horses were a beautiful, beautiful tool for me to trust God, spirit, for want of a better word, to trust myself, because I
Yeah.
knew the
Yeah.
horse couldn't tell me anything.
Mm, mm.
You know, if you talk to people, you think, well, maybe I noticed them, struggling to lift their arm, whatever. Now
Yeah.
it's the arm sore, all sorts of things go through your mind. So the horses were a beautiful, beautiful place for me to learn, because I knew that I couldn't possibly know that stuff, and the horse wasn't telling me anything at all.
Yeah.
I'd go on
Yeah.
the stomach and say, "Oh, this horse has got an ulcer in its stomach." Well, I just had the vet was here last week, and that's exactly what they say it is. I
Yeah.
can't possibly know that. So starting with the horses really just gave me confidence to then start to work on people. And from there I really grew. And it's taken me a number of years to have enough examples in my
Yeah.
toolbox that I don't doubt myself anymore at all, because it's
Mm.
human nature of us to think, "Oh, maybe you're crazy." And even when I give a message to somebody and it doesn't resonate with them, I know that that's what I'm supposed to tell them. And it may come to them later, and they come to them 2 years time. So I trust, I have complete and absolute faith in what I do, because I know it's not me that's doing the healing.
Yeah,
It's to connect to guides. You and I have an Arcturian connection, so
we
extraterrestrial
do.
guides that I've
Yeah.
connected to, and I trust 100% that whatever guidance they give me is what I'm supposed to give to that person. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So the animals help me do that.
that's great.
Yeah.
So, Craig, can you, for the benefit of the audience, or tell us where people can get in touch with you to experience your healing, to know more about what you offer?
Yeah, so Craig Lyle, Lyle healer.com is my webpage. Otherwise, Craig Lyle Healer. I have a Facebook page, which I don't have a lot on there. There are some people that have put reviews and that on there, but my webpage is craiglylehealer.com.
Okay.
My desire and my prophecy for myself, or that other people have prophesied to me, is that I'll heal people all around the world. And that's why I put the .com.
Yeah.
I've set that intention for myself, that I will be known around the world. And that's not for me to be known. I don't mind if no one knows who I am, but I've set that intention that I will heal people all around the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's craiglyle.com. And there's a wide range of stuff that I do on there: post-operation, pre-operation, post-operation. I'm quite astounded with what I am able to do. In that there's nothing that I can't do, because I trust that it's coming from a higher source. So I trust that completely.
Mm.
A lot of things that I do that are unexplained, I can't explain them myself, but I know.
That's, yeah, that's really awesome. And I like that you say that. And I like that you're open that way, you know, because you're not limiting yourself and you're honest about this is how you work, and that's how it flows. The thing about it is that my observation in the last year is that sometimes I've met people who do something, and they do something. Do you know, it's this concept of do one thing and do it really well? But you see, that's a third dimensional concept, right?
Yeah,
We are multidimensional. And maybe we were not meant to do one thing and do it really well. Maybe for a certain amount of time it served the purpose. But there are so many things to us. There's so many talents we have. We are so creative. We come with so much. And you're the one of the people, or probably the first person I know, that came out and said straight out, this is what I do. This is how I do it. And I can do this, this, and that. And I do this only because I've just found myself having the experience of being able to do it, and you're just going with the flow. So it's really nice that that's happening, because for some people, they're starting to realize now that they're multidimensional and multi-skilled in terms of things esoteric and energetic.
yeah, yeah. It's very interesting, because when I first started, as I said, I tell people the horse, don't let the horse move at all,
Yeah.
so I can't see anything, and I would always be correct in what I did. Then I started working on people, and I would pick up things, and I'd often get into people's traumas that had happened in their past, and I would see them, and
Yeah.
I'd say, this happened to you in a child. I see you, falling off your bicycle, breaking your arm, whatever. I see this. I say, how the hell do you know that? I said, well, I don't know, but I'm just getting that guidance. And as I've gone further down this track now, I don't get any of that anymore. I don't see
Okay.
any of that. And a year or so ago, we spoke about, from when we last spoke to where I am now. About a year ago, I was questioning my guide. Well, how come I'm not seeing that stuff? I used to see things so clearly and be able to tell a person exactly what happened. And he said to me, because that's just your third dimensional mind needing to think you know something. You're now beyond that. And I don't need to know. And as I'm saying it again, I'm just getting goosebumps all over my body. It's my God reminding me.
Yeah.
Correct. It's our third dimensional minds that feel I need to be able to tell you exactly what's going on. And in most of my healings, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. And very interestingly, my partner's from South Africa, and she's back there at the moment. And she called me yesterday. She's not well. I said, can you do healing for me? And I'm very blessed with her. She's very spiritual as well. So I'm doing a healing on that area she's speaking about, and I'm sensing that I'm working on an area, and she's telling me what I'm doing. She's telling
Ah,
me, feel
wow.
this on the right hand side of my stomach here, and this is moving there, and suddenly that pressure's gone there. And it's been very interesting for me, because I trust completely. At that time, I was saying, well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm helping anybody. but I had to step in a complete and absolutely fifth dimensional faith
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
spiritual sense, not religious sense, of I trust that although in my third dimensional mind now I'm not seeing anything, I know that I'm helping a person. And Deborah just reminded me last night by telling me everything that I was doing. I know I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is, but I'm trusting that my guides are doing what's needed for that person. In this case, Deborah last night.
Mm.
And she's telling me this is happening, that's happening, this is moving there. So
Yeah.
spiritual people like that sense it themselves, but I'm not. But I'm sensing the basics of it where I
Yeah.
am. And she said, I said, yes, that's where my hand is. I'm on your stomach, or I'm on your hip, or I'm on your knee.
Yeah.
While
Yeah.
you're feeling it. So I know where to be. But it's having that trust of letting go of the third dimensional mind as a healer
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
spiritual person. What am I doing? We need to
Mm.
know that we are multidimensional, as you and I are sitting here, and all these people that are connected in this at this time or later are doing 10 trillion gazillion things all at the same time.
That's it.
We just trust. We could be in another 10 gazillion trillion different planets
Yep.
doing different stuff. And I
Yes.
know that that's possible. I don't understand in my third dimension mind, but I've let go of that. And I trust
Yeah.
doing my healing. And I say, Deborah's in South Africa, 10,000 kilometers from here. I know that that's going there. And after the healing, she said, man, my stomach feels a lot better, I
That's
felt
good.
relief.
That's good.
So
I
it's
really,
really different to how I started.
I really like that you pointed that out, that we are evolving.
Yeah.
And the things we used to need or do, we don't necessarily need or do them anymore, right?
Yeah.
And as you're speaking, I just felt this warm sensation on my right shoulder.
Yeah.
Just had I think you're healing me. You're one of your guides healing me whilst we're talking. So just so you know, it's like it was quite distinct. I could feel it. These things are all possible. This is it. It's all possible. Just being somewhere, just taking the energy yourself somewhere is taking your energy and all your skills with you. And it doesn't necessarily have to knowingly know that you're doing something or intend to do something. It happens where it's needed. It's like what is for you will not pass you by. Anything that the universe is sending to you, anything that needs to happen for you, will happen. Nothing to worry about. It's not easy seeing that we're still multidimensional and we're still part of ourselves is still in the third dimension. And when things don't show up for us, it's not easy to say that because and absorb that and say, yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with it. Because I mean, hey, some of us have been waiting for things to happen for a long time. I just, yeah, interesting time.
The timing of things. And as I say, we all know this shift is coming. And it's that inner knowing that it's coming, not how you will get there. I had a client now recently in America that I've done 3 or 4 times. And she's had pain somewhere, and I haven't been able to shift it. And of course, in my third dimensional mind, I feel like I'm failing.
Yes.
Like, how come I've had someone else and I've done healing, and an hour later, they say, gee, my knee's amazing. I can't believe it, And now with this person, I've had 3 or 4 sessions at a week apart, and nothing's happening. Of course, now I'm doubting myself in my mind.
Of course.
The last one I did earlier this week, something came up, and boom, I knew why it had to come through that process for us to get to that point.
Yes.
That came up. And as that came up, I knew immediately that what just came up was the healing that she was waiting for, and it wasn't about the sore knee. It was something else that be, released and come up and let go. So I've really learned to trust, even when things are not working the way I would expect they would.
Exactly.
No, there's a process to it. And it's the same as you say with what's coming for us in the future. We need to know that it's coming. How it will get there, we don't necessarily know. We've got some guidelines.
Yeah.
Could be completely different to what we're expecting.
I know. I know. Trust the process for me is like, oh, please. There've been times when I've told people to, I've used a bad word and said, get out. Don't tell me that. I've said it to my guides as well. I've had arguments with them. I've told them to stop talking to me. I don't want to hear it. But that's it. Trust the process. The universe. What's this other one? Is rigged for your benefit. it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, can you just stop?
Yeah.
But I'm learning more and more that those things really are valid. They mean something. And sometimes, like I had a time earlier this week, I've had a week of being on a roller coaster emotionally, but also things I've been trying to do, recordings I've been trying to do for the channel, because I've been doing the light language messages. I do it here and I do it on light language messenger. So I post the same video on both channels. And with regards to the full moon recording that I was doing, I must have done it 5 times.
Yeah.
And it was like, what is the story here? What is going on? And I just couldn't get it. It just didn't seem to work out. And I tried doing it about a month ago, same story.
Yeah.
And then this time I managed to do, and then I had this, okay, it looked like we needed to do it in 2 parts. And the thing that was supposed to be part 1 became part 2. And the thing that was supposed to be part 2 became part 1, or the other way around. I don't know, got myself in a tizzy. All right. But anyway,
Yeah.
so it's been that kind of thing. But I just feel like, yeah, who would have thought the transformation or I mean, I knew that it would be challenging from what I knew about what is written about this tribulation. The Bible in the book of Revelation calls this the tribulation, but it's really the transformation, right? I knew from anything I knew there that it was going to take a lot of courage, and it was going to take a lot of self-control and being positive and just continuously being in the high vibrational space. When I was doing the study, I wouldn't have called it the high vibrational space. I would have said being in God's presence and, praying and praising and worshiping and all of those things, because that's what I got from it. But nothing that the Bible could have said could have prepared me for what is actually happening, what has actually happened. When you thought you knew how it was going to be, it actually was 10 times or maybe 100 times more intense than the Bible said it was going to be. So,
Yeah, what
here
I'm
we are.
finding for myself, what's really shifted for me in this last year in particular, since you and I last did one of these videos together, is that I'm not looking at the third dimensional world at all. I'm seeing it all. I mean, I watch my YouTube things and these things that are going on here, there, and whatever, but I realize that that's not where I need to be. I realize that I need to be in my fifth dimensional spiritual self. I'm not going to change the world by taking a side. And I'm not saying one side's wrong or one's right. They could both be right. They could both be wrong. Depends which side of the fence you're sitting on, where you come from. So I'm kind of learning to not take sides as such, and try, because we as humans, we try and look and say, what is the right side? Let me get some information, and which side is wrong, right, and which one's wrong. Whereas no, there is no wrong and no right side or whatever. There's a conflict, whatever it might be. There's other people perhaps stoking the fire. Who knows what it is? And I'm really stepping out of the trauma of the world. And that doesn't mean that I don't, I'm an empath, so I obviously feel the pain for all of those people, and particularly children that are drawn into all these things. But I'm realizing that's not how we're going to change the world, by taking a side or a stance on something. It's about just increasing our vibration and knowing that stuff needs to vibrate and shake to create the other for us to bring our vibration that eventually cracks that completely and just breaks it into dust. That can be no more. So it's not about us finding out whether we're on the right side or the wrong side. And in the last 3 or 4 years, there's obviously been a lot of things, all sorts of things, I've been talking about that you could choose a side, wars, conflicts, that, politics, whatever it might be. I realize that none of that, because we want to say, well, I need to get on the right side and be, promoting what I think is right. I realize, no, there's no right side.
No, it's not like that.
Is to get into our higher dimensional selves, allow that stuff just to do whatever it needs to do, and for us to raise our vibration on a level that we don't see in our third dimensional minds or reality at all. I realize that it's our dimensional spiritual vibration that will create the change, and we won't know what it is or what we're doing. We just need to know that we are, like I said with my healing, I know I put my hands and my mind on someone 20,000 kilometers away, and I'm shifting something in their stomach. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. I don't know how it works. I don't know what creates it. I just know that. And we need to have that same blind faith that we will create that change and release that blackness, that darkness
Yeah.
from whatever it is, you know.
Very, very well said. I think that is perfect because I feel like, when as soon as we start to take sides, we're once again creating another polarity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's been going on the planet. Polarity is what's caused is well, polarity is causing division, is saying one is better than the other. And obviously we know how bad wars can be and the suffering and the pain and all of that there, right? And sometimes how futile it is. But like you, I've done the same thing. I I've basically, what's really helped me to go inward, be reclusive, just be able to take care of things only concerning me. And I don't mean that in a selfish perspective, because things concerning me is what I'm doing for the collective too. So that's what's concerning me. So I'm not like leaving people out of my world and how I can support people. I'm here, I'm friendly with my neighbors. I do something for my elderly neighbor on the one side. I do something else for my other elderly neighbor on this side. I'm looking after my community as best as I can, and I think so. It's not saying I'm just not opening my door to anyone, but I think that when, for example, we were kind of put out of society because we didn't take a specific shot. It was preparing us for a time like this when you know that you have to be in your space, being sovereign, holding the light, because sometimes that's what it takes to hold the light, is to be in your own space and to do that and not get involved in the narrative. And also, when you think about the narratives that are going around, whose report do you believe? And why, because there's so many reports coming out, a lot of times conflicting. And do we even care? Do you want to give energy to something that does not affect you personally? But you can stand there and you can send light, you can be high vibrational, doing your mindful practices that affect the energy space around you, those around you, and then inadvertently the planet. That is something I've really come to realize and practice into my world in the last year.
Yeah.
So something I want to ask, which just popped up into the conversation as you were speaking. That's why I've been writing down here.
Yeah.
So when we spoke, and we had interactions the last time. You've got an Arcturian guide, you've got a Native American guide, you've got an Aboriginal guide. I know.
Yeah.
Are you still working with these guides? Have you got new guides that have come in? Anything change in that respect?
Not really, no. As I say, my Arcturian guides, I still kind of have those 3 Arcturian guides that I work with.
Yeah.
The Native American guide and my Aboriginal guide are my strongest guides. There are other guides that I work with, and I'm of the belief that when I need something, if I go and do psychic surgery is the other thing that I forgot to mention. I do. I'm a psychic surgeon.
That's right. Yeah.
I go in and I either see things in a person's body, shift something, and change it. Often when I go into that, I'll just ask someone to step forward. It doesn't matter who it is. And I'll ask someone just to step forward to help me with that particular issue. So I have my guides, and my difficulty is the opposite to you, is that I don't talk to my guides. So you talk to them and you're telling them to leave you alone.
Well, I don't talk to them enough. Let me tell you, they tell me I don't talk to them enough. But normally I talk to them when I'm telling them off.
Yeah. I always told you need to talk to your guides.
Yeah.
More ask for guidance, and it's something I don't do as much as I should.
Me too.
I've just kind of asked for that guidance and whatever around things.
Yeah.
But certainly, so with those are still my base guides. And there's quite a strong connection between Australia and New Zealand. That's
Yes.
my Aboriginal guide, and that picture I've got in the background is Uluru.
Yes.
With rain running down there, and I was told to put that up. So for whatever reason, I've got this sacred Aboriginal healing crystal of mine here. So there's that strong connection. I still do have that strong connection, but I'm finding that I'm starting to connect in a bit of a broader sense to some other, not guides, almost people in history that are realizing that they've had a part to play and we started to
Wow.
connect to them, like some other Native American ancestors, Crazy Horse, and some others are just connecting to me in a sense of what they've gone through in this physical world, and that we can connect to that.
Yeah.
To know how to move forward. I just recently connected to a guy in Australia who connects with the Native Americans there. And what's come to me, because I'm connected with Maori people quite strongly here as well.
Yeah.
And in this country at the moment, we have this, as you know, it's called the Waitangi, sort of two sides, and a
That's
separation.
right. Yeah, we do.
And what I'm coming to realize myself, and through my Native American guys that are coming to me as well, and I'll give it in the Native American context, and it relates to this as well.
Yeah.
Because I've always known within myself that I would get the land back to the Native Americans. From a child, I've always had that knowing within myself. And it doesn't mean I'm going to do it myself personally, but somehow in a path, part of a group, something that I may assist with will make some change. It might be the fifth dimensional stuff we spoke about, probably just putting that thought out. So I'll use the Native American context with us, and we can apply it to here as well. And I get this where a Native American tribe specifically that I have in mind, there's some land that was taken away from them. And it's just these last few days, I've known that I'll get that back to them. I get the land back to the Native Americans, but it's not about giving it back to them. Because when I'm seeing that in when I'm talking or going through my vision in the last few days with these people from the past, and said, we are going to get it back to us, and we are going to give it to everybody.
Wow.
That's what it is. It's not about us taking our land back and saying, okay, we Native Americans, this used to be our land. We want this land back, and it's our land.
Wow.
It's getting it back. And I'm getting a goosebumps in my arms and legs.
I am just having so much shifting as you're saying that, by the way. I'm just actually,
everywhere, just standing up.
Yeah, I'm actually doing shifting here whilst you're talking about that.
It's not about getting it back to those
Yeah.
ancestors or to that tribe or to that nationality or whatever you want to call it. It's about getting it back to that point where we step out of the current system and go back to the system of no one owns anybody, anything. The Aborigines have it, kind of the Maoris have it.
Yep.
African people where we come from have it.
Yep.
Americans have it, and probably all over the world. Those cultures where this is the land doesn't belong to us. This is God's land. This is Mother Earth. It doesn't belong to anybody. So I've had that come through quite strongly again with our situation here. I've been shown this in my Native American thing where I would get it back and say, I'm not using me as not look at me, but you understand what I mean, and give it back to them and say, okay, now that we've got it back, how are we going to share this, brothers and sisters, with everybody here? How are we going to move forward with this as everybody's, not just this Native American tribe? Yeah. So I'm part of a hapu here up this way and connect with that. And people are wanting to have their land. And look at the thing, a large part of the people within that hapu are not necessarily of this land from 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 300 years ago. Yeah. So we wanted to say, okay, this is your land, but what about us? What about the rest of us? Those of us that are in the same context of what I've said in America, where we also have good intentions and want to do the right thing and whatever. And it's opened up a whole new way of me looking and say, okay, we want to go back to that old and give it back to those people. But then what? Because if we just give it to them, we just, on the flip side of the coin, nothing's changed. We just turn.
You're just doing it the other way around, and actually, that's not helpful, is it? That's not what the intention is.
It's going to help us to move forward. So it's quite interesting. I've had that quite strongly in this last week. It suddenly dawned on me that it's not necessarily. It's about all of us collectively. So I'm not saying other people don't have rights and this and that. I'm not saying. But like, how do we then sit down around a fire and say, okay, well, how do we all work together?
So I want to add something to that because it's very interesting, and I keep getting told I need to tell you something, and I'll tell you that something at the end of what I'm about to say. So I listened to something. I'm trying to figure out which intuitive teacher this was that I was listening to earlier this week that spoke of the native peoples coming back to the forefront, and basically, with all the transition and the age of Aquarius starting and all of that. one of the great aspects of the planet is that the native peoples are going to be coming to the forefront to teach their ways and to make the part of the transformation.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like I've discovered in the last 12 months that I have been here with the ancient native peoples of New Zealand. Now, I don't look Maori. In this lifetime, my genealogy or I do not have Maori. I'm not of Maori descent. I don't have that 131 and 33, 133rd% of Maori in me, like they talk, right?
Yeah.
But many of us that are here that have come back to New Zealand because we were here before in other lifetimes. We are still here in parallel lifetimes in another time space, right? We're talking about time as in how we understand time. So some of my light language sounds like Tereo. And I don't know Tereo, and by the way, for anybody watching, Tereo is the name of the Maori language here in New Zealand. And so I have discovered that's what's happened. And I was listening to Cryon ages ago. He was here in 2016 and he did a workshop, and I was listening to a snippet of that workshop where he said, welcome everybody. And he welcomed them and he said, thank you for being here because you have come back here from Lemuria. Lemurian times have because you were in Lemuria, you are here now. And you're here to take this land through the transformational process. So many of us that have been in Lemuria are here, and we have that ancient Maori heritage, or ancient, I won't say Maori, I'll say the ancient peoples of this land. We have that heritage. And so if you've got people in a room and they have all nationalities and they have gravitated to that, it's likely that that's why they're there. I mean, I wanted to leave this place, and then I knew instinctively, yeah, I want to do that. But almost like within 18 months, I came back to the realization I'm not supposed to leave here because my mission and my soul's purpose is to be here on this land. And that's because the native peoples in that time, I believe I was medicine woman in that time. The guides you're working with is probably you in that time. Yeah. You're working with yourself, that other self of you that's working with you, that's coming into this dimension, into this time and space and working with you. So I feel like, and I really loved earlier when you were talking about how we are here now, but we are doing so many things in other realms, in other galaxies, because I've had that heritage and understanding and knowledge for a long, long time now. And this is how I speak of myself. Many people are coming to the realization, because when I know when I first started saying things like that, people would look at me as if I was silly or something, But coming back to the guides, my Arcturian guides, for example, are here, but they're quite quiet. They're quite quiet because currently I work with other guides, right? And we can talk about that later on, because I'm going to ask you a question about whether you've come across this phenomenon. Anyway, earlier, the thing that I was going to tell you that I need to tell you.
Yeah.
I was at the kitchen window, and the kitchen window looks out at the front garden, because we've got one of those houses where the kitchen's in front. And I just, at the corner of my eye, I saw this figure out there in the garden. And I thought, and I could see this big cloak, but it was more like, how the Maori chiefs or the Native American chiefs would wear that big cloak. But this one is made of straw and feathers. And I thought, oh, you haven't been here before. Wonder who you are. So it does make me, I needed to say that to you because it might be one of your people arrived here before you.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing, and that's what we need, and I've spoken earlier about getting out of our third dimensional mind and into our fifth dimensional minds, and that's how we create the change. So I interestingly found out recently, so I'm of South African descent, but obviously English or Celtic descent originally. Yeah. And the Celts were here in New Zealand, they're saying 5,000 years ago. They have
exactly
rocks and tombs and things that show, although there's quite a lot of history here that's been hidden.
That's right. Yeah.
Governments have these 75-year things where you're not allowed to say anything about something, you know?
Yeah.
So we need to get out of that, this is our land or this, that, because
Yes.
who knows who was here before? You know, I've
Exactly.
often wondered, I've been here quite some time, I wonder, why did I come here?
Exactly.
I mean, there's only been, you know, I can't see any ancestors of mine having come. Why have I come here? And then I found a little while, not so long ago, maybe 2, 3 months ago, about these Celtics. I mean, I'm of Celtic heritage. My ancestry, in the DNA sense you spoke about, may have been here
Yeah.
4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's correct or whatever, but who knows, you know?
Yeah.
Certainly, that may have been why I've come here, or I may have been of another ancestry, as you said, spiritually come here in another life or whatever. But I've
Yeah.
often wondered
Yeah.
why have I ended up here, and I've never felt like this is where I've come from. But when I found out about that potential Celtic heritage here, I thought, man, that's quite possibly some of my ancestors, in a sense, may have been here a long time
Yes.
ago, and that's why I've come back, you know. But we need to get
Exactly.
away from that. That's not what we need to look at, because there's so much.
No.
It's like I said, us getting into the battles and wars and choosing a side. It's the same. We're just going to go round and round in circles if we
So,
choose that path.
yeah. So this is the thing, because, it's a third dimensional thing to want validation and justification. And you see, these are two things we don't need anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we are here.
Yeah.
That's it. We're supposed to be here. There's no reason to justify being here. The part that or there's no reason to validate, to look for validation that it's okay to be here. We are here. That's okay. That's exactly where you are, is exactly where you're supposed to be, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Part of this thing for me is my discovery. Like, when I talk about ancient peoples that were here. Now, for me, it's about my discovery, because we're at the same time we are discovering things, and we need to find the balance with, is that, how are we responding? Are we responding like you would do in the third dimension? Or are you starting to come to the true realization of who you are? Because one of the things I believe is that we are taking the journey to ourselves in this lifetime. This is my belief. We are bringing, or the veil of amnesia that we chose before we came into being here is being lifted, and we are starting to realize who we are, how creative we are, how that we are multidimensional, and how that we talk about past lives, but is it really past, or is it a parallel lifetime that we're talking about? We're having visions of things. Is it coming from the past? Is it coming from 500,000 years ago, or is it that 500,000 years ago that we deem is actually happening alongside us?
Yeah.
So I believe that, and it's gone out of my head now. What I was going to say to you. Oh, what I was going to say to you is Waitaha. The Waitaha people is the people that supposedly were here, like the ancient peoples that were here, right? And the other thing is, I was going to say, we always think New Zealand's history is straightforward, but I've discovered there are skeletons in the closet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of dead bodies in that closet, that's for sure. And some of them are quite old.
That's right. And like, we have interestingly enough, I also discovered this, like, in the last 3 or 4 months, that we have a hidden history.
Yeah.
And then there is the official history. And wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. But as I'm saying, we sort of delving into it, just going down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
We need to get away from that all and get into our fifth dimensional sense, where we realize none of that really matters.
Yeah.
There's so many different permutations that we can discuss and debate and go around in circles on it. We'll run out of lifetime before we get to any solution. So
and who wants to spend time doing all that, right? The point, the thing is, when because I just find that a lot of my stuff, like being galactic, having that I travel and traverse many galaxies and universes, and that I've been to many parts of the universes. I got that on my own. My intuition told me that. That was like, if you need to know something, your intuition's going to tell you. You don't, have the assurance of it. So this is how we go. So Craig, we talked about, we're talking about quite a few things, and I had this list of questions that were here. And I'm just looking at them and thinking, when we talk about current energies, we'll talk about current energies shortly. One thing we do, what I'd like to ask you is, have you done any work with the unicorns? Have you started to feel the energy of the unicorns and the dragons on the planet?
Not the unicorns, but the dragon has been coming up for me a bit lately.
Good.
I can't say the unicorns. I have connected them in a sense sometimes,
Yeah.
not strongly, but the dragon, I've always had quite a strong connection with that, and I have sensed that recently.
Okay.
And just when you were talking earlier, where I'm coming to realize as well, and the dragon is part of that, is that the dragon is generally a single thing. Dragons don't fly in flocks or whatever, like birds. Dragons, like, that's your dragon, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm part of a flock or a herd or whatever. Dragons seem to be their own individual things. And what I've been realizing for myself, and I think for all of us, is that we are the avatar. We are the avatar for our world. There is no other avatar besides us.
Absolutely.
You are an avatar in your world, and every one of those people on here listening to themselves are the avatars for their world. They are the ones that are going to bring about the peace, create the change, whatever it may be. They are the avatar. They are the bringer of peace, the changer of the world. Because this world is our world for us. You know, we're each individuals. And that goes back to that dragon thing. The dragons come to me, and the avatar kind of thing has come to me, and that we are powerful beyond our own belief, you know, beyond what we can comprehend. I'm quite fortunate that I'm what they call a conceptual thinker. So when I get the concept of something, like the concept that I use the word God, spirit, in a religious sense, use the word God, that God is all powerful and can do things that I cannot comprehend. I get that concept.
Yes.
So
yes.
I accept all things that I can't comprehend. If that makes sense, because I get the concept that God is able to do things that I can't understand. So I'm doing a healing, and I can't understand what I'm doing and why that pain's left you and how I don't understand it, but I get the concept. In the same way, I'm getting the concept of, and it's not, as I say, oh, look at me, I'm the avatar. It's no, you need to look at yourself as an avatar, knowing that if you went within yourself and believed that everything is within you, and you know, the Indian greeting is Namaste, which is the God within me sees the God within you, meaning God is within every one of us.
Yes.
Part of our spiritual kind of belief is that God is, we're all a part of that divine spark. Each one of us is a spark of the divine. So we are, in a sense, part of God, and we are the only part of God that's us. You know, there's not another one somewhere else.
No.
So we need to really go within ourselves and connect to ourselves and what's unbelievable for us, and we will bring about that change without saying or doing a single word.
That is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on, because you be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, so it's interesting that dragons come, because the dragon comes as one. They don't say, look, my flock's over the hill, they'll be here shortly. It's like,
no,
man, this is me, you know.
So the reason I ask about the dragon is about whether you have had it's great that you've sensed the dragons, because I've been bringing dragons in since maybe June last year. And I've been working I did this in ignorance, where I did work with the unicorns, and we brought some unicorns in, and the unicorns are very much like the Arcturians in a way, because they're kind of quietly there, you know. And I read somewhere that I think this is in the book Diana Cooper has written about the unicorns, where if you've worked with horses, then you can have a close connection with unicorns, you know. But interestingly enough, she's also written a book. She's written probably a couple of books about the dragons, or one of them, 2 books about the unicorns, I think, and 1 about the dragons. And I've got this book, and I've just felt guided to invoke dragons on the planet. And I've been invoking dragons for various reasons, only to find at the end of December, someone said to me, do you know that 2024 is the year in Chinese astrology, it's the year of the wood dragon? And I was like, okay, I didn't know that. But it felt really good to be able to think that, okay, there was something I was doing that that lined up with something else, which was great.
Mm.
You know, again, see, I'm looking for validation again, you know, in my thinking, right?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, so I've been doing these invocations with these dragons because I've got the Oracle card deck that Diana Cooper has put out, and I read from the book, brought in fifth dimensional dragons, ninth dimensional dragons, 11th dimensional dragons, all of that. We talk about the history of the dragons and all of that. And I kept saying, you know, finally the West is meeting the East. We always say East meets West, but yeah, the West is meeting the East because the Chinese have kept the energy of the dragon alive all this time. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was doing an invocation with the dragon. And I heard, as I was doing this, and I was doing it for the collective, I heard, and so what about me? And I was like, who's you? And I had a flash of the Welsh dragon I beg your pardon, not Welsh dragon. I had a flash of the Welsh flag in front of me.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, it's true. The Welsh flag has got a dragon on it.
Yeah.
And so I had to swallow my words because that dragon said, I've been here all this time and you did not acknowledge me.
Yeah.
And so I did an invocation of the Welsh dragon, you know, a few days later. But what was interesting about this dragon was that it had been called in by Merlin. It had, it had helped to win a battle. It was Henry VII that had brought something of the dragon to St. Paul's Cathedral, and then it kind of got put on the back burner, and it's only since 1959 that the dragon has now been brought to the forefront again. But that dragon has been there the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, so, you know, we think that things are separate. Well, I thought things are separate, but actually no, there's that dragon, and who knows how many other dragons are going to come out of the West.
Yeah.
You know? So I just thought, wow, you know, you can't make the stuff up. So that's why I was asking about the dragon, and I'm glad that you said that you feeling the energy of the dragon. What color can you feel the color of the dragon? It's important, the color.
Well, it's interesting. It's been the red dragon, and that's what's on the Welsh flag, actually. So
wow! Oh my gosh!
The red dragon that's on the Welsh flag with the green behind it. You know. So,
that's right, green behind it and white at the bottom. So it's all those colors represent something. And by the way, the Welsh have got a Celtic heritage, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, but I think
I think North Wales is Celtic. Yeah, North Wales is Celtic. So is North Wales, Ireland is Celtic. And I'm not sure about Scotland, but yeah, and Brittany. Yeah. So anyway, wow.
Yeah, so the history of all that, of where we came from originally, who knows where we came from originally.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're that all over the place, you know.
That's right. And also the Taniwha is a dragon. You know, the Maori Taniwha, that they say Taniwha. And I just remembered that when somebody first told me about the Taniwha when I moved to New Zealand, they were implying that it's a scary thing and that you see it on the way down going towards the Waikato on some part of the road there, and the Taniwha is just going to come out. But you know, the dragon, the history of the dragons is that they basically, at the fall of Atlantis, chose to sleep on the planet until we woke up in 2012, you know?
Yeah.
They were offered to go to the ninth dimension, but they chose to be here and sleep here. Yeah. And they've laid down the ley lines of Earth.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have been here in good stead all this time. Anyway, Craig, we digress. I know we weren't going to talk about unicorn and dragon, but it just popped into my head that I should ask you about that.
That's all good, yeah.
So before we go, let's talk about current energies. Any comments on the current energies?
Yeah, so at the moment, there's a lot going on. I don't feel energy like other people. It's quite interesting. I'm an energy healer, and I don't feel things the way other people do. And it's often bothered me. How come I don't feel things like other people do? But I realize there's a reason for me to be the way I am. It could be that having the faith to know I don't need to feel it. I know and trust that it's happening, which enables me to be able to expect anything to happen.
Yeah.
Because I'm only feeling a small amount, I think, oh, that's just a small healing.
Yeah.
But I'm not feeling anything in a sense. So I know that it could be the most massive amount of energy that's going to that person. So I don't feel those energies like my granddaughter. whenever the full moon comes around, my granddaughter's she look, I was at full moon again. Yeah, it's full moon. That's what she's playing up and whatever. And woman in particular, the full moon, it's, I guess, part of your cycle is around the moon, generally. And
Yeah, yeah,
women generally at the full moon have their mood swings or whatever it may be. And my granddaughter is like that. So I don't feel those in that way. But I do feel and sense that the energies at the moment are shifting really quickly.
yes,
I can feel that things are different. So I don't necessarily feel the energy, but I sense it in the way I shift. It's like I'm shifting now to where I look at these walls and man, I need to find out who's wrong, who's right. And then I've shifted. Now that energy has shifted me to say that's not where you need to be looking. It doesn't matter who's wrong and right. Those people on
yeah,
that side, they are right and they're wrong. Those people on that side, they are right and they're wrong. It doesn't matter. So the energy is shifting in a sense that we are looking at things differently. Instead of trying
yeah.
to find out, okay, we found out who the person's in the wrong. It's you bugger, you need to go to jail or whatever. We don't need to do that anymore. So,
No, no,
no, because
yeah,
that's not what it's about. So the energy at the moment is shifting for me really, really quickly. And a lot of energy. And those people that do feel the energy that I connect with, communicate with, things are changing quite quickly, but not necessarily in our third dimensional world or feeling, but in our higher selves, our fifth dimensional world, that energy is changing really quickly. So we are vibrating at a much higher frequency. We just don't necessarily notice in the third dimensional sense. In fact, sometimes we feel tired, worn out. This is the opposite to what's happening in our etheric energetic fields. We kind of feeling the opposite because our
yeah,
energy fields are going quicker than our body. There's a saying that says, don't drive any faster than your guardian angel can fly. And in a sense, our spiritual selves are flying faster than what our bodies can keep up with, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
are often feeling tired, lethargic, feel like, oh man, things are not going my way, because we're actually the energy, our spiritual energy
yeah.
is outpacing our ability to keep up with it.
Yeah, well, I'd like to comment about something. I just comment about something that you said. I feel like me as well. I don't feel energy or the energies are right for whatever. I'll feel energy for myself. But you know how people talk about, oh gosh, it's really been riling me up or whatever. I'm not somebody who feels like that. But when you were saying that now, I heard that's probably because that is not how you're purposed to be here.
Yeah,
Because if all of us were feeling like that, then and you know some people are feeling like that, and then they can't get out of bed for
yeah,
5 days or whatever, then what's actually going to get done, right? So we're not all purpose like that.
yeah,
So that's really good.
yeah,
The thing about the moon and women are mainly affected by it. It's true. And perhaps if men were more in tune with their feminine side, they'd realize they're affected by it too. You know what I mean? Because the moon cycles are like 28 days, but also, and of course, you know, women cycles are the same. But the moon is representative of the divine feminine energy. And so we are the embodiment, we are the expression of divine feminine energy in terms of what we represent more on the planet. Of course, we have divine masculine and divine feminine energies. All of us have that, whatever gender we are.
yeah,
But we exhibit that more. And of course, we exhibit that thing that's a cycle that makes us more feminine than somebody who is masculine or a man, right?
yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's kind of it's okay, but I feel like it's the moon, like it's we're gonna have the full moon at 1:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. This full moon, I can't remember where it is and whether it's in Aries. I can't remember because I've listened to the astrology report so long ago. But we just have to navigate. And I think the most important thing, I like what you were saying about who's right and who's wrong. And we don't need to be focused on who's right and who's wrong. What we need to be focused on is bringing in the high vibrational light, holding the space. And I think more and more we're starting to realize that more and more we're coming to that, what you just said, that realization of, I don't need to be a part of that. It's nothing to do with me. I don't need to fight fights. I don't need to stand up and do whatever. I just need to be me and do my thing because just be identifying with that thing that we have come to do here. So we come to the end of our interview, almost the end of it. And I always ask people, is there anything else you want to share with us or tell us that I haven't asked you or we haven't covered today?
Yeah, just one thing that's come through as we spoke, and a few things that have come together along that line. And I spoke about kind of being an avatar for yourself, and bringing about the change. And as you were just saying now, it's not to say we don't want to help people that are on the wrong side of something. That's not what we're saying. If you know, I don't care about anything. It's not. We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is that we will create the shift, not by trying to pick a side or find out who's wrong or who's right, but by lifting our vibration, and we will come to a time where there can be no wars. It just will not be possible. You won't be able to point a gun at someone and fire it, because you and I will have a vibration. I'm talking about you and I and everyone, whoever vibrations, no one will be able to point a gun at someone, because our frequency will not enable that on this planet. We will not have wars that, because it won't be, well, who's wrong, who's right. No one can do any of that stuff, because we've changed our vibration. And part of that, as I say, is being that kind of that avatar, knowing that each and every one of us, doesn't matter who we are, big or small, we may feel, is the avatar for what needs to be done by us. And what I just realized just last night, strangely, watching something on Netflix, and I saw something, and the most oldest thing that we all know, and I spoke about earlier, is putting our hands together in prayer.
Yeah.
And I say, like namaste, whatever it may be, or when they say you need to pray, it's putting your hands together. And as a healer, a Reiki energy healer, the energy comes out of the palms of my hands.
Yes.
And that's where I feel it. I run my hands, and that palm of my hand is kind of where that magnet stops and says, oh, there's something going on.
Yeah.
The energy comes from there. And the left-hand side is the past. And what I realized last night, just watching this thing, and my guy just brought me to this, said it's the oldest way of us. We think we're praying, but what we need to do is put the energy of both of our palms together. The past, which is past, can be these past lives that you spoke about earlier. Perhaps you've been here in this country. I have been ancestrally, spiritually, whatever it may be. That's that past of all those things there. And then the right-hand side is the future. And by putting those two together in prayer, we're not actually praying to God. We are actually connecting ourselves to our avatar.
Yes.
To our, and my body's just tingling. My hairs are standing up everywhere. It's the first time I've said this to anybody, because it only just came to me last night. The oldest thing in the world is put your hands together to pray. And it's actually taking the energy from your past, your future, your higher self, your spiritual self. You are the spark of the divine yourself. And by putting your hands together, I'm now going to be doing that. Obviously, having brought up in a sort of Christian church upbringing where we prayed, I don't do that anymore. Normally have my hands relaxed on my lap when you meditate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing that, because I realize I'm connecting to everything that's within me, past, future, as you said. And I'm creating that circle of energy within myself through my hands, around my body. And as I say that again, I'm just getting my goosebumps standing around.
Yeah.
Saying, man, you figured it out,
Isn't it wonderful when you figure it out? Because it's almost like you're bringing both your left and right sides together and aligning in the middle.
And allowing it to flow through your Arcturian guides, past guides, future guides, higher self, spirit, God, Jesus, whatever is there, everything is there.
Exactly. And when you come to the middle, really, it's you aligning. What do we align when we do meditation and prayer? We do the chakra column, right? And it's like, chakra column all the way up, down, whatever you want to do. But you're just bringing all yourself together. I always think of it as bringing myself together in this spot. And I mean, there's a lot of things that we've been taught or that we have traditionally been programmed to that means something different, or doesn't have to be that only one thing, So thank you for sharing that. So Craig, what else? Is there anything else before you give us your contact details where anyone can contact you, to find out more about what you do and make appointments if they want to experience your energy?
Yeah, my only thing is, so just we need to know the light is coming. It's been prophesied all over the world. It's coming. Nothing can stop it. We
That's
need
right.
to embrace the beautifulness of who we are, individually and collectively, and know that we are bringing about this light, each one of us, by just turning our lights on, by just bringing light to this world, and we will create. And a lot of Americans talk about the sacred hoop, which is the circle of life. And when all the rainbow warriors, and when all nations come together in a circle, and that's kind of what I spoke about earlier about my thing with the Native Americans, where they get the
Yeah.
land back. It's not about that. It's then creating that sacred hoop where the red, the yellow, the black, the white, and they refer to those four peoples, whatever. There's obviously all mixtures in between that. It's all that coming together in that sacred hoop.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to. And there's nothing that can stop it. So rejoice in that.
Yeah, that's it.
It's coming.
Yeah, what is for you cannot pass you by.
It cannot
And
possibly.
it's coming from the universe. It's coming from higher realms. It's not coming from anywhere else. And you want that.
Absolutely.
So please tell
It's
us
all, it's
where.
all good, as they would say here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's all
It
good.
doesn't seem that way, but it's all good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Don't be, we have to remember not to be taken by what's in front of us. And I know that's like, oh, they say seeing is believing. Well, nowadays it's no longer like that.
Yeah.
There's often underlying things going on, and we might see something and we see it only in that one moment, but we didn't know what happened. We were not there before that moment or after that moment. We only have a little window that we're looking through when something is happening. And so therefore, from that perspective, neutrality is important. Judgment is better reserved, or not even going down that track. We cannot assume just because we saw something, we know everything about it.
Yeah.
Or witnessed it,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So please give us your contact details, Craig.
Yeah, so the easiest way to get hold of me is craiglylehealer.com is my webpage, and you can see all the different services that I give there. You can book on there, and I normally have the calendar open, because people say when you're going away and you're like, I go to Waiheke, my partner lives in Waiheke, so I normally go and spend kind of a week and a month there with her. So why don't you block that off? But I do a lot of Zoom message healings, and even just through a photograph of someone or an animal. So I thought about blocking that off, and I thought, well, then I would block people off from being able to contact me. I can do the Zoom thing when I'm at her place, or doesn't matter where I am. So just either through there you can connect to me. And I say my other thing is my Facebook, just Craig Lyle Healer. You can book through there through Messenger. Either just message me through there, and I can get back. I prefer people to message me through Messenger or whatever, and then we can connect and figure out what works for us. So that's my two basic things: is the craiglylehealer.com website, and then the Craig Lyle Healer Facebook page. That's just the easiest way to get hold of me. And my telephone number's on them both, I think. So if someone wants to message me, that's great. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So well, thank you for all the beautiful work that you're doing, Rose, with your stuff as well. Each one of us has our part to play.
Each one of us has a part to play, and thank you for saying that. And I often think I don't do much. I don't do what you do, and there you go, third dimension coming again to compare stuff. But I've learned over time to just say, just be, Rose. You're just doing that thing you're meant to be doing, and that's it. That's it. I do energy healing. I can do it for myself. I can do it for my dog or whatever. But I don't do it as a profession thing. I do it as in I just do it. I see. They say I see dead people. I see them. Or like I saw that I saw the chief in my garden earlier. I do all of that there, but I don't do it from a professional perspective. And so that's
me. I don't do it as a profession. I have a day job.
Yeah.
Being a healer it's not an easy thing, and I think people are lined up to want healing from me, and it's not easy. So I do it as not as a hobby. I mean, I do it to help people.
No, it's work.
I do the normal third dimensional work stuff and whatever during the day to pay the bills, put food on the table, and there may come a time, and I've let go of that, like I have to be a healer. I've let go of that, knowing I need to be here on this earth and do whatever needs to be. And you, like me, are doing. You say you're not a healer. You are healing the planet and people all the time on that fifth dimensional higher self. As I say, same with me.
This is
I'm not
true.
healing all day, every day.
Yeah.
I'm doing normal work, but I
Yeah.
know that in my mind, I have that fifth dimensional vibration coming from me that could be changing the world every second of every day, and that's the same applies to you.
Yes,
Doesn't
thank
have to be
you.
a third dimensional, I'm consciously sitting down and healing somebody. I have
Yeah,
the intention of wanting to change this world and make it a better place, and that's all I need in my third dimensional sense.
yeah.
Gods and your higher self will take care of
Well,
the rest.
thank you. Thank you for saying that. That is true. That is true. There's so much we do that we're not consciously aware of. And you know, we just need to go flow with it, run with it. Yeah. Anyway,
Absolutely. Yeah.
thank you, Craig. Thank you so much for your
Okay.
time. And thank
Yeah.
you everybody for watching here on the Great Awakening Generator. I'll catch you next time. And yeah, namaste.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
All the best. See you.